Let me start by saying that young alumni are not reading and responding to emails the way they used to. So in this webinar, we will look at the latest digital media consumption trends, what apps they're using, and what exciting opportunities this offers for universities, we believe. Yeah, and actually, we're so excited about this webinar. We see so many advancement professionals from all over the globe having had a chance to join, including the US, Australia, we see UK, Austria, Finland, and the list goes on. So, yeah, we hope to make it really worthwhile for all of you. Okay, so let me start then by introducing our panelists. Let me start with Paul Millett. He's a seasoned professional with over 30 years of experience in higher education, 20 years of which are at management and executive level. Well, he has experience in institutions of various sizes and shapes and has personally solicited millions of dollars worth of gifts. Paul, you can feel free to say hi.
Good morning, everybody from sunny Southern California.
Right. And Annika Jensen is Fundraising's Director of Social Media. She's joining the team after working in the digital marketing space for over 6 years, having worked with companies in such sectors as entertainment, consumer packaged goods, education as well. I could say she knows a thing or two about effective advertising strategies across Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Snapchat. After all, she has been running paid social campaigns in excess of $10 million. Annika, are you there?
I am. Hi, everyone. I'm coming to you from snowy and not sunny Boston.
Great. And myself, Raymond Skolbergs. I'm the CEO and founder of Funderful. I'm dialing in from Europe, from Riga, also quite sunny here. So we are covering quite a lot of geography right now. A little background about myself. My past career is leading the consultancy arm at Deloitte. Then in my free time, I was leading the award-winning alumni fundraising campaign, and we tripled the funds raised at my school, Stockholm School of Economics in Riga. And that is about the time I got so hooked in fundraising, and yeah, and I took the jump from a safe career to creating Funderful. And now we are fortunate to be working with amazing institutions and helping them amplify the already enormous positive impact they're having on the world. Alumni giving rates have hit a 30-year low, and this is a reality you face every day. Here on the right-hand side, you can see the graph that shows the alumni giving rate in the US declining every year. I'm sure you're very, even too much familiar with this trend, but let's look at some of the reasons, and we see that there are at least three. First of all, the traditional channels that have been in play for decades, such as emails, direct mail, telephone, they're becoming less and less effective. And the second reason we see that universities are facing increasing competition, and it's not the other universities, it's other charities that compete nowadays on a global scale. And third of all, we see that you have the ever-increasing alumni base, and any institution, any nonprofit will always have will always be losing some donors for one reason or another, which you have to replace by finding new donors. But even if you attract as many as you lose, the participation rate is still in decline because of the increasing denominator, because of the increasing number of graduates. You see the trend in the lower right corner graph of graduates every year. So it is overall a colossal challenge that advancement teams we see face every day and have to deal with.
Yeah, if I can just jump in for one moment, Raymond. In addition to this, we talk about the denominator increase of the, more graduates over the past 2 decades than ever in our history. The biggest issue, or a much larger issue, is really that competition aspect. When I started back in 1988, there were 300,000 501c3s in the U.S. Today, that is 1.7 million. They're very aggressive. They're very good. They are jumping in and out of prospect pools all across because they don't have their own defined prospect pools. So they come into all of ours in higher education, and ours are basically restricted to our alumni population. We don't go out and buy new email or any new lists to add to it or what have you. So it's really about kind of reaching out, and you're also very correct with the denominator on the rise. Just keeping your head above water, being flat is kind of the new up.
Yeah, good points. Thanks, Paul. Now let's look at the most common channels in more depth. But actually, before we do, how about we do a quick one question poll? The question being, we want to hear from you. What channels are you using to reach alumni? And you can pick as many options you want. Please fill it out yourself right now. You should see the question right in front of you right now, and just click the response that best describes your situation. And once everyone responds, we will be able to show the results. So how about we give 10-15 seconds, and then we'll summarize the results. Okay, let's sum it up about right now. Okay, we have a good variety here. We still see that emails are and social media are both being digital tools. Channels are being used the most, while direct mail and phone is not that far off. Also, there's Facebook Messenger. That's interesting. There is a good variety. I think when what we are about to say, that won't be a surprise then to you, as we'll be covering most of these channels. The primary ways how universities reach out to young generation, to the younger generation, still is the e-newsletters, e-solicitation, also, as we saw from the poll, direct mail, telephone, and these channels are declining as a result of innovative disruptions, be it the invention of iPhone in 2007 or the overall oversaturation of information that we're seeing. And here on the right, you can see the graph in the chart, how each generation, what do they prefer in terms of donation channel. And we can see that direct mail, phone, even email is no longer a preferred channel by the 20 and 30-year-olds. And when we look, for example, at direct mail, it is quite challenging in many ways. It is expensive to execute. It heavily relies on having up-to-date addresses, basically data, and it is increasingly difficult to turn that into donations. Well, with phone, it takes on average 20 attempts to reach someone by calling, and well, in addition to this, you need to be hiring teams to run the phones, which is a heavy labor investment from an institution. And with emails, yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there. I would just add to this, when we're talking about those innovative disruptions, like the iPhone and those kind of things, we've allowed the market to outpace us. We have not traditionally had a response to those innovative disruptions to date until we are talking here about Funderful today. So what we've done is we've become more aggressive within our channels, more assertive within each one of these channels, but we've never really answered that challenge. And those channels, you mentioned it, the oversaturation, direct mail has become static. There's a small uptick in it for young alumni, but it's also expensive. Phone continues to decline. It's got a heavy labor investment, as you mentioned. Emails have a low open rate. And when Gmail a few years ago started opening all mails, the open rates just exploded, and it doesn't really mean anything. So there's a bit of a wasted effort there as well. And the social side, is it being utilized effectively? It's difficult to show any return on investment. And, online is used to help guide giving. It's really just a supporting channel. So when you throw all those out there, and I'm looking at the 20 attempts by phone, that might be a very conservative number as well. So all of these channels are being just hammered away because we haven't answered the response of what the market's given us. And so I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to jump in there and say that. And so that's why we're looking at this oversaturation and overuse and those kind of things within these channels.
Yeah, great points, Paul. Thank you. Actually, here's another chance for us to do another quick poll here. It will be really interesting to hear, well, what kind of, from you, what are you using for ads, if you're using ads? And let's have the results. Oh, quite interesting. Thanks. Let me summarize. Try to summarize this. The picture might seem quite bleak, and then I would ask myself, do we still have hope? For myself, the answer would be surely alumni giving isn't dead, and I'm sure you would agree. What we really need to do is understand, especially the young alumni, the young generation, where they are, how they're communicating among themselves, with other brands. So on that topic, let me give the floor to Annika to look at the latest trends on digital communication that we believe are already having an impact on advancement.
All right, thank you. So as you mentioned, we here at Fundraising believe that messaging is the next great channel of communication, and the digital trending research really backs that up. So we can jump right in. With the trends developing in the digital space, there's a huge opportunity for schools to engage their alumni donors. There's that stereotype that millennials and younger people are just glued to their phones, and that really is a stereotype for a reason. It's just true. They're called this wired generation, and they've never known a time before the internet or even mobile devices. So they're spending more and more time on mobile apps as they're glued to their devices. And of the mobile apps currently available out there, messaging apps are the ones that we see taking over. These young people are essentially in constant contact with those in their world, and they expect immediate replies. So with this in mind, we think of messaging as the new texting, as the new email. As of April 2016, activity on Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp combined was 3 times the global volume of text messages, which is crazy. That's 60 billion messages a day compared to 20 billion. So if you just think about how that number's increased in the last year or so, as Facebook Messenger has become more and more prevalent, it's mind-blowing. So far, people have been chatting with their friends and family primarily. I know I do all the time, but increasingly people prefer that their favorite brands communicate with them through messaging. That can be a customer service representative, a tweet back and forth, or a more interactive chatbot. And you can see here in this table on the right, already a majority of social media users, not just millennials, but all social media users across the US, prefer that brands communicate with them through messaging rather than these legacy channels like email and phone.
Annika, let me interrupt you right there.
Sure.
I cannot overstate this. I was really surprised when I first learned about this statistic. I mean, to put it into context, we're talking about new channels that are new for everyone. These conversational channels, be it chatbots, be it a chat window on a website, or through Twitter as well. And we are already right now today seeing that more than half prefer to be communicating through this channel over legacy channels. So this is just blows my mind that at what pace we need to be in the loop and responding to these preferences, changing preferences. Yeah, just wanted to share that.
No, thank you. That was great. So of all the available messenger apps out there in the marketplace, Facebook Messenger is really leading the way as the most popular. You can see the top 10 on the left here. Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp are blowing the competition out of the water. Skype is really a thing of the past at this point. So Facebook Messenger only has been around in the market for about 3 years, and since then it has grown to 1.2 billion monthly active users. And then in terms of total active daily users, Facebook Messenger outperforms Snapchat and Twitter by over 2 times. On the scaled table here on the right, with the shades of blue, you can see social media platforms used daily across the US, broken out both by age groups as well as total users. And this was most interesting to me since other platforms like Snapchat, people tend to think of as the trendy thing where people are. Yes, that is the case, but in reality, the numbers show that the leading platforms are the triad owned directly by Facebook. So Facebook, Facebook Messenger, and Instagram.
Annika, let me jump right in. We have a really
Yeah.
interesting question that was just posted. How do you define young generation? Is it 10 years out? Is it 20 years out? And I think what you're just right now saying about the graph on the right upper corner is just on this topic. How do we define the young generation? Is it 10 years out, 20 years out? What do we mean by the young generation? I think this is what how we can really well put that into perspective. You can see in the right hand side on the graph that the young generation that is most actively using these apps that you mentioned, Facebook, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, these are actually span quite a quite wide range of demographics, starting with 18 to 49-year-olds. So I think even we can define nowadays a young generation like that.
Well, I
So this
think it's
little
more that
distinction.
age is just a number. All these people are behaving like young generations when really it's the most 10 recent graduate years. So with that all in mind, Instagram stories and other apps like that have really just evolved to keep up with the platforms. So Snapchat has been struggling both in terms of user base and advertising success, with everyone migrating mostly to Facebook, Facebook Messenger, and Instagram. But so with all of this in mind, all of these numbers, the question is, how can a brand take advantage of Facebook Messenger's dominance and communicate with their large-scale audiences without requiring all of their employee bandwidth? It would be impossible to have a person manning all incoming messages at all hours of the day. So that's where chatbots can come in. Messenger chatbots really allow for preset conversation templates that you build ahead of time and can customize to whatever flow a brand is interested in showing to their users, all while feeling personalized to a user's needs, where they're already active. So this is sort of new just across the board. It's new to Silicon Valley standards, so it's really no surprise that it's on the horizon still in the higher ed space. For more examples of bots you may encounter, we've added a handful of examples at the last slide, which will be available in the handout section or later once we deliver it to you all.
Yeah, and among the examples, what you'll see there, one example is my favorite. It's Domino Pizza. You're basically able to use Facebook Messenger to order a pizza with the right toppings of your choice to your doorstep. So that's something that's instead of talking to someone over phone. So that's something that I was amazed. Go ahead, Annika. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just joking. We should veer it back from pizza to higher ed institutions.
Yeah, exactly. So can a university reach alumni on Messenger? Then that's the question that we put up for ourselves. So we decided to tackle or try tackling this growing problem of decreasing alumni engagement and work to fill the huge gap in reaching young alumni. Among our investors, we have Silicon Valley funds. So naturally, we moved west to California to do this. And that's where we developed personal relationships with leading experts from companies like Facebook, Snapchat, also LinkedIn, and made use of their strong resources in the digital space. Yeah, just a sec. Yeah, and from there we partnered with one university in particular to run an experiment with us, and that was University of Laverne in California. And then we got the results. We were astonished. It's an 88% message open rate and 17 times better click-through rate than emails. I'll let that sink in. So these were astonishing results. It astonished us, and I will let then Annika walk you step by step how we got to these results.
Great. So from a quick top-line perspective, we ran a social media ad campaign that drove users to a custom Facebook Messenger experience. The first step was creating a chatbot messenger to go in Messenger in advance, focusing on the campaign priorities in a fun, youthful way. And then we ran targeted ads on Facebook and Snapchat designed specifically to reach priority alum. And as these ads were served over the campaign flight, alumni within this custom audience engaged with the ad, and then that opened up Facebook Messenger for them directly. So within the bot experience in their Messenger, they were able to find their own path in the conversation, clicking buttons that align with their personal interests and shaping the flow of the conversation that way. So I know that sounds kind of confusing, particularly if you've never interacted with a bot. So why don't we show you one of the videos of how the conversation can look from an alumni perspective. If you have any troubles viewing this, please shoot us a note in the question section. But here you can see it's a conversation interface where alumni only need to click buttons to go through the experience rather than words or anything more complicated than that.
Yeah, and you can see by clicking a response, after a given response, you have another question or comment waiting for them. Basically, the alum, the subscriber, chooses their own path in the conversation. Now, okay, let's look at the ROI for this. And we compiled an average from different universities that we were working on this with. And on average, it costs anywhere between 20 cents to $1 to acquire a subscriber by paying Facebook for ads, for making sure that the message is visible on their feed, and then they engage and they're in the conversation, opening up Facebook Messenger. The important point here is that that is the cost that is paid only once, because from that moment on, when they engage, they will now respond 80% of the times at no extra cost. And how we put it into perspective for ourselves is we would compare that to direct mail. That's one way to look at it, where it can cost up to 50 cents for a simple letter that is sent out to send to an existing direct mail recipient. And that is a cost that you need to incur every time you're sending this, assuming the address is correct as well. But then the drawback there is that you get no data, you get no tracking, and in the best case, you get a response in a couple of weeks. So yeah, we see that the campaign ROI is crucial, but I think you would agree that that is not really the enough or the sole measure how we can evaluate performance.
Raymond, if I could just jump in for one moment. On this particular campaign and this particular university, for all my friends out there who are in higher ed right now and are listening to this, I would add that this was a key component to a 35% increase in annual giving for them by the end of December. So those are the real world results. At the end of the day, that's what we're looking for. Is this going to drive any improvement? Is this going to help move the needle? And the answer is absolutely yes, and in a very dramatic way.
Thanks, Paul, for adding that. That was an important detail. So yes, what I could add besides this ROI, whether that is in open rates or in donations coming through, as Paul just mentioned, we should be looking also, what do alumni think? How do they perceive this kind of new kind of engagement with a university? So yeah, we asked just that. We asked the alumni who were engaged, who were subscribed, how do you feel about your university messaging you through Facebook Messenger? And the results were that on average, 8 out of 10 people who responded, they said they were happy to be engaged through Messenger with their school. So what does this all mean?
That is a great question. What does this all mean? So there's no silver bullet to solving the global decrease in alumni giving. That would be impossible to say, and Facebook Messenger shouldn't be regarded as one. What it should be thought of, however, is an exciting new channel that schools can explore to reach potential donors and get quicker responses than any legacy channel offers. It's where your alumni are already communicating, and they're beginning to expect brands to keep up the pace. So the next question really then is, what should a university do? Rather than abandoning other channels such as phone banks or digital newsletters, Facebook Messenger can be considered as an incremental change in the strategy. Don't forgo existing tactics, just implement an integrated channel approach in which a channel's investments and budgets are optimized based on the tangible results that they can provide. So this method really should be thought of as the next chapter in fundraising. Fundraising went from individual channels where each of your outreach tactics worked in a silo completely separately, and then to more of a multi and cross-channel method as technologies evolved and could drive to one another. But now the next generation is integrated, all of your efforts working together to increase their efficiency. So in this new era, taking advantage of AI and messenger bots allows for a quick start in conversation that can happen anytime, anywhere, mobile, desktop, doesn't matter. It's just like the immediate communication that's expected in the general population nowadays. And for me, one good way to think about this in terms of higher ed advancement specifically is by using these new methods of communication, you can get 100 donors that weren't reachable before by older tactics, either because their address on file wasn't updated or they just don't care to open your emails. But on a larger scale, if you can get 1,000 new donors like this, the likelihood of reaching even 3 to 4 new major gift donors right there just increases. But what else can this provide? In addition to reaching a new audience that was previously unreachable, we're also able to get so much more data about these donors and their behaviors. Through unprecedented engagement that's just natural in messaging as a channel, we're able to target this audience with content that we know they'll find valuable and that will lead to the closest path of them giving back. It's a new age of data collection, and social media targeting really allows for institutions to personalize how you implement it. But so to recap, what are some key takeaways to keep in mind after all this webinar is over? I know we've thrown a ton of data and numbers at you. Number one, so in this new era of global digitalization, legacy channels no longer work to reach young alum. Number two, you saw the trends show how messaging is really becoming the new email. It's becoming the new texting. And of all the different messaging platforms out there, Facebook Messenger is the one at the forefront. The stats speak for themselves. Getting an over 80% open rate when compared to 25% in emails is huge. And even further, getting that 5 to 10 times better click-through rate really is just a missed opportunity otherwise. So then lastly, the digital channel that delivers immediate short-term and substantial long-term ROI with more immediate accessibility and tangible results than direct mail or phone banks can really offer at all based just from their logistical standpoint. This is really the next thing. The use of messenger bots opens up the opportunity to send high-scale, engaging conversations that let alumni take control, rather than one-sided, one-size-fits-all e-blasts that they may or may not open. So with all of this in mind, there is no doubt the future for university advancement and fundraising is brighter than ever. This is a chance for advancement teams to be at the forefront of digital innovation rather than catching up to other industries. So with that, let's open it up to some questions. I know we've been getting a bunch of great ones along the way. All right, let's see. How can this play into major giving, and can a small team shop still take advantage of it? Oh, Paul, that's for you.
Thank you, Annika. And I will be quick because I know that we're running a little bit over here. The short answer is yes to both. A small shop can use the power of conversations to its fullest, expanding the data collection that you were just talking about and the communication aspects of what we all do on a much larger scale than they can currently do. It's really about the economy of that scale. Being able to expand on those conversations anytime, anywhere, is like adding more development staff. And those chat bots that you touched on earlier, well, those can start those distinctive conversations much earlier, much sooner, while also gathering additional data, really important data that you can then leverage during other types of channels as well. As for major gifts, absolutely. I'd argue that the Funderful platform is excellent for all size gifts. As communication trends shift, and we move more towards those integrated channels that you were talking about, which is really the next step in all of this. Keeping the major donors engaged more consistently and in real time is going to be vital. And in the stages of major gift development, Funderful can really play an important role in each one, in capacity, inclination, engagement, opportunity, but also really the predictive analytic development. That's really important, and that's going to answer a lot of questions. It'll help target conversations, and small shops can expand. I don't even know how many people it could actually expand. It could, you can use this up and down the board. So it really has an opportunity to add more staff, if you will, to it. And for major gifts, it allows us to be in front of them, communicating with them. I mentioned earlier that there were, 1.7 million roughly 501c3s. This is an opportunity to stay in front of your donors. If you're not, somebody else is. hopefully that was quick enough.
No, that was awesome. Thanks, Paul.
Sure.
The last one we'll take based on time. Our Facebook only has 400 followers. We don't have that kind of reach. Okay.
Yeah, and that is, Annika, it seems like that is also, we can combine that with another question, was how are you finding institutions, alumni on Facebook? I think that we can combine those, no?
Yeah, no, definitely. So this is one of my favorite things to talk about. Facebook has so much more to do than just organic posts. Only 2% of your Facebook followers will ever even see something you post organically. And that's even before Facebook's latest algorithms that you've probably heard changing in the last couple weeks. So that's why paid social is more important than ever. You are able to target specific people that really resonate with your message. And this is completely separate from the algorithm changes. Paid social is basically guaranteeing that your message is seen, optimized on whatever your goal is. So reach or website clicks or online conversions. There's just so much more out there than an organic post. And the way that we here at Funderful are able to find your alumni is by ingesting your alumni database in a specific Facebook-friendly way, where Facebook then makes an anonymous group of people based off that list. So you can't see Paul is in this audience, but you know he was on that list of people that you ingested. He is likely in that audience. So that way you're able to show your content just to the people that matter to you. If you're focusing on your 5-year reunion, it's only going to those people in that class. Does that make sense? I know that was a lot.
I think very good.
Awesome.
Yeah, with this is exceptional targeting opportunities that Facebook provides, Facebook or Instagram, or even in Facebook Messenger itself, that allows this to become really cost effective, doesn't it?
Yes, definitely. You're not wasting any of your budget by targeting people that don't help your participation rate or don't really hit home with your messaging.
Okay, I think we should be, thanks everyone for listening in on the webinar, and thanks for all of the great questions we have received from you. We want to be mindful and respectful of your time. We will make sure that we answer every one of the questions and by reaching out to you separately. We will, as promised, send you the slides in a couple of days, and also the recording of the webinar, so you can share both of those with your colleagues or friends, or rewatch some of the stuff that you found most useful. And also, before I let you go, you will see a survey right after the webinar up here. Would love to get your feedback. We want to improve the way we are doing this webinar to make it exceptionally useful and valuable for you, just for the sake of being valuable for you. We'll be running more of such webinars, educational webinars in the future. Again, thank you for your time, and I hope you found it useful and worth your time, and hope to see you next time.